Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series Season 13, round number 9. We're here in Australia, Phillip Island. What a fantastic circuit. We're going to have some great racing today. I have no doubt. Combination of the GS and the Mustang and the ST with the MX-5. It's going to be action-packed, hour-long race. I'm joined by Tyler Vickery and Tyler Maxson. Tyler, you're with me at the moment. Mr. Vickery will be joining us when he gets home from work, always at the very last minute. But yeah, Tyler, thank you for here, and I'm looking forward to seeing this race is going to come. What's your thoughts on the sort of the track? You know, what are you expecting to see today from the different classes?
Yeah, the track's a lot of fun. I ran a couple of laps here before this session, and it's a lot of fun track. It's a very difficult track, so I think that we're going to see quite a lot of passing, especially in the ST class, because it's a very draft-filled track, having that there's a lot of high-speed sections. I think we're also going to see a little bit of single file through some of the sections. It's a little bit harder to pass, so we kind of got a little bit of everything at this track. Yeah,
indeed. Let's just bring up those of you that are not aware of exactly what the track looks like, and yeah, so that's Phillip Island right there on your screen right now. And yeah, so very fast circuit as well. So obviously turn 1 in some of the sort of single-seater cars, that'll be flat out as well, but we're not expecting to see that in the MX-5s and the Mustangs today. And then a very tricky turn 2 where you really want to hook the inside curb so that the camber on the inside pulls the car around the corner there. And then again, relatively long straightaway section until you get into the first of the hairpins, and heavy braking, so lots of overtaking going in there. Won't see too much into the next section, but again, that's pretty much flat out once you come out of that left-hander there, through the sweep-in sort of left-right. And then once you go into that sort of left-hander, before the next hairpin, that's quite tricky as well, and the car can run wide very easy if you just try and get a little bit too much speed in there. And that really, from that final sort of after the hairpin, you got that left, the guys will be flat out all the way there till turn 1 as well. So great, yeah, great circuit. I personally love it. I love racing here. I always find that this track produces very similar lap. It seems to be like 1 or 2 corners that really make or break the lap time, and that's what brings the grid very close. Because even if you get it wrong, you're only about a 1/10 or 2 off. So yeah, this is going to be one exciting race meeting.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. That I can definitely agree with you on that one. There's a lot of these corners are very easy to get right, and there's only a couple of spots where you can really mess it up and lose a lot of lap time. But definitely a tricky braking zone going down to the first of the hairpins, like you said, carrying so much speed down into there. You got to really make sure that you get the car stopped going into the brakes. So we look here at the championship standings. Aeronom still in the lead in the GS standings with 286 points. Right now with a 46-point advantage over Mike Dam in that Cryptology orange car, who has a further 10-point advantage, so still really close for second place in the championship over Patty Annucci in the Cryptology green car. Kevin Ford in 4th at 206 points, followed very closely, just 2 points separated between him and Rob Hartley in 5th place in the championship, and then further 3 points back to Tyler Shiflin in 6th. So those 3 are very close in points, just 5 points separating them for 4th, 5th, and 6th in the championship. Then we drop back just about 9 points back to Brandon Whitworth, still very close to those guys and still have the chance to get 4th up place in the championship. He is currently 7th in the championship. Jeff Jacobs with 164 points, so a little bit further back for him. And he currently has 1 point over Leon Wright in the 1 Wild 1 racing car at 162 points in the championship there. And then Russ Ruddock in that Flying Tortoise Motorsports car with 162 points. So those guys separated by just 2 points. Those guys definitely going to be having some tight racing in that field. Clint Vigas at 150 points, just a little bit further back from them. Then we have Raymond Madgen Jr. at 107 points. Matthew Catella at 89. Stephen Thomas at 73 points. And Dexter Castro in the 15th position and 0 points in the GS Pro standings.
I'll quickly run through the ST Pro. Oh, look, I get the easy one. Just not many ST Pros this season, but leading the way is John Allen with 250 points. So still very, very, very close with him and Travis Fenke, who is second place, 245, just that 5 points back. Eric Violet, not too far back, but is starting to look like it's going to be a bit of an uphill struggle for him now with 212 points. But he's got David Payton all over him on equal points. That's going to come back probably on count back or something like that. But yeah, so 212 points each. Chris Thorman in 5th, 191 points. That, I would say, Chris and Jim List are very much in the fight for third place still in this championship. So 188 points for Jim List. But Geordie Fike just a little bit further back on 167. And we quickly look at the ST Open as well, because a fair few more of those guys. Jacob Beasley leading that class on 183, just 10 points clear of Derek Holland. And it's Elvis Rankin in 3rd, 1 point further back. And then Bobby Charles right on his tail as well, another point back. So very, very close in ST Open this season, closer than I have certainly seen before. Lewis Looper in 5th, Mikey Key, Edgar Sanchinelli, Mike Taylor. Again, sort of just a little bit further back, each little driver. And but I feel like, you know, there's definitely places that they could make up by the end of the season. Lyndon McMurphy, Patrick Providence, Matthew in 11th there, 88 points. Then we've got Jordan, followed by Trent and Paul Gibson on 0 points as well. So yeah, Paul obviously not done the race. Back to you, Tyler, for GS Open, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Steve Daniel leads the points in GS Open with 142 points, just about 6 points clear. Mike Monahan at 136 points. This a little bit further back then is Cameron Bidwell at 100 points. Then 50, he's just about 47 points clear of Robert Breest. And then Bob Cunningham at 0 points. He's obviously not running a race this season, and the mystery driver in 6th.
Yeah, so we'll have to take a guess who that is, but they haven't raced either, so it could be anyone. Just big shout out to everybody who's going to join in and watch the race, whether it's watching it live now. Thank you very much. If it is, get involved in the chat. Any questions that you might have or anything like that, please feel free to send them over. I'll be monitoring the different chat channels that we've got going on today. So we're obviously streaming live on YouTube as well as on Twitch. And, of course, on our Facebook page as well. So, yeah, ask any questions anywhere. And I will try and get you the answers that you want live and during the race. But, of course, if you're watching it back, feel free to comment as well. We'll always cycle back and answer any questions that you might have on there. But, yeah, thanks for everybody who does watch the video. While you're here and while you're supporting us, please hit that like button and share the video if you want as well. Let's get a few more eyes on this series as well. Fantastic series. Sorry, Tyler, I cut you off just as I went into the whole social media sharing gig.
No, you're fine. I was going to say very close throughout the entire fields in both championships. It's extremely close all the way through those championships. Not really any room for mistakes is what I'm trying to find there from any of these drivers that are in those close championship fights, and we see quite a bit of them all the way through the field.
Yeah, now of course I haven't seen. I didn't see the last race because obviously Adam was doing the broadcast. So I wondered if you can fill me in what's happened. Obviously, the last one was the one that yeah, I would like to say I famously dozed off in. Not because the race was boring, just because yeah, it finally beat me. I've been doing it for 2 years, and yeah, the time actually killed me this time. So. But that was a pretty decent race, and I think the first one that Nom hadn't won for quite some time. So what did I miss in the previous week?
Actually, I wasn't here. I was actually gone on vacation that week, so I can't fill you in on that one either.
I knew you were away as well. That's just shocking. So, well, we'll have to ask Tyler when he turns up what happened. Just give us a little recap of the events in that one. So, of course, qualifying is done for GS at the moment. Let me just bring up the timing tower. We can have a quick look at that. So Hartley has actually got the pole in that class as well, and that was a 1 minute 40.23. So just under 0.2 of a second behind him was Aero Nom. Then Clint Vigas. We haven't seen Clint up there for quite some time, and he's a hell of a driver. So I'm not surprised to see him up there at all, but it's just nice to see him up there. And that was he was in exactly 0.1 of a second back from Aero Nom, Brandon Whitworth, in the No Hope Racing car there as well. Just a little bit over 0.1 back from Clint there. Then it's Mike Dam in 5th, Kevin Ford, Russ Ruddock, Jeff Jacobs, Tyler Shiflett, Leon Wright, Steve Daniel, and Matthew Katila. So yeah, from I would say from 1st to 11th. Sorry, Matthew, just a little bit further back. We were only talking like 1.6 seconds, so it's not a lot of time at all. I think with draft, we're definitely going to see a bit of a pack even in that class.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think we're going to definitely see a pack in that class, and I think we're going to see breakaways of 2 or 3 cars at maximum, because that's pretty much the maximum you can get in this car, or even in the ST class in the MX-5. The maximum really that you want to be having that's fast is 2 or 3 cars. We can see the top 3 are only separated by just about 0.3 of a second there, so they're all really quite close. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see them break away, and then we kind of have a middle pack of 4th through 6th, or even 7th, and then we just kind of have a breakaway from 8th through 10th. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see those guys kind of grouped together as they're all on the same pace. But right now, Travis Swinky is on the pole by just over 0.3 of a second over David Payton, and 0.7 of a second to Bobby Child. So right now he has got quite a bit of pace here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty much done as well. The last cars really to make their way back to pit lane has happened. So yeah, Travis, I think, has got it. It's not official at this point, but yeah, good qualifier for David as well. And Bobby Charles, another standout driver for him. He's really turned it on the last few races that I've been party of. So another good qualifying for him, Eric Violet, and then John Allen. So he's going to have to move himself forward a little bit. But yeah, like you said, I'm just looking at the gaps and the intervals there. So 1.6 seconds takes you down to what is Lewis Looper. So yeah, that's 10th place there in there. So yeah, pretty close all round, and definitely looking forward to seeing what this is going to bring. I know the MX-5s, they're always so patient. So I'd love to see them just one race, just absolutely go for it, constantly trying to overtake each other. But I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see that too. And I think that we will probably see that in the final round of the championship, when everyone knows that the championships are on the line. This is the second final round of this championship this season. So I think that this is when we're going to see a lot of drivers start to get a little bit impatient, really start to make some more aggressive moves, especially in the last 10 minutes of the race, trying to get every last point that they can get for their championship hopes.
Just waiting for the actual official classifications to come through before we bring up the grid for you. I don't see anybody out there that is got to put a lap in. Usually it just kind of like finishes the session off when no one's out on circuit, but this time it's counting it down.
Yeah, we'll wait just a few more minutes, let the session kind of wind down, then we can get your starting grid up for you once the results are finalized, and we kind of get into the gridding stage of the race. But definitely really, really close throughout the championship. I think that we're going to see people that are fighting for championships between each other are really going to start going for it here. I think that we're going to see just a lot more battling than we're used to in normal races, just because I think everyone kind of knows that the tension is there, the need to make every move stick and not crash. At the same time, you also got to make some aggressive moves and try to move up some spots in hopes of your championship. This is definitely an amazing track to do it at. Going to be a lot of draft here and a lot of different things like that. We're definitely going to have a lot of strategy game, just like usual, in this race today.
We are joined with Tyler Vickery as well. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us, and rushing back from work to make the start of this one.
Yep, and it's kind of nice to be able to get home early enough to where I can actually get to see the start. So, unlike last week where I had a little bit of miscommunication at first, thankfully it was fixed. But yeah, that was wild last week to say the least.
You got 15 seconds to give us a rundown of what happened last week from your point of view. Go.
This would be fun. Well, from my point of view for the GS class, the start was kind of, from what I was hearing, the start was kind of very interesting. Few of the drivers further down got caught up in a little bit of incidents. Aeronam was able to pull away, and Mike Dam was actually trying to catch up to try to keep Aeronam from getting another win, but after the last pit stops went through, it ended up being Aeronam just had that advantage enough and took advantage of lap traffic to just pull away and win for the GS class. The ST class, I will have to double check on the final results on that because I do not remember exactly the ST class. I am gonna try to see if I can find that real quick.
No worries. Just while you're doing that, we'll just quickly confirm the qualifying grid out there as on screen. I don't think changed from what myself and Tyler read out, but just confirm. I'm waiting for everybody to finish gridding up. There's a couple of people just out there now. Who we got missing? There's someone missing at the back. I think Lewis Luper, Patty Nucci, they haven't taken to the grid. Yeah, so just a few, and then of course our race marshal, always there in the 999 car. Back.
Okay, and
race car sets away. Sorry, go. Yeah.
No worries. I was just gonna say I was able to find the results for the ST class. It was actually, now seeing the results, it was actually an interesting strategy. Travis Schwenke had some pit issues. I believe he had to take 3 stops, while Luis Loper, Eric Violet all had to do 3 stops. John Allen and David Patton were actually able to fuel save enough to be able to only have to 2 stop. John Allen won the race by a fairly decent margin. I believe it was about 6 or 7 seconds over David Patton, and then Travis Schwenke was almost a full lap behind them, and that was just your top 3, finishing on the lead lap for the ST class. And then further down was Luis Loper, Eric Violet, Elvis Rankin, and Derek Holland for your top 7.
Sounds like they snuck an extra lap in, and it's caught a few drivers out there. So yeah. Travis will be looking to bounce back from this one.
And he's definitely in a good position to do it, starting on the pole position. That's definitely a good place to start, and here definitely is going to pay off a little bit of advantage, at least for the first lap. Once we get into the tight, twisty section, if he can hold on to it by then I definitely think he's got the spot, at least for the first few laps. But it's going to be interesting to see how many breakaways we see here. If we're going to see a bunch of drivers just absolutely walk away from the rest of the field, or if we're going to just see one big, huge group of drivers going together and pushing pretty much the entire way through. Strategy, as always, is going to be a big factor in the races. It always is. They always seem to come up with some interesting strategies to throw at us.
Yeah, don't they just? So GS top 3 predictions then, Tyler. What do you who do you think for this one?
Well, of course, I'm going to have to go with Aeronam. But honestly, though, the way Phillip Island is, and with my experience, it's more of a toss-up. I can definitely see Aeronam. I can see Aeronam getting at least top 3. I also would like to see Robert Hartley in second, but at the same time, I probably would also see Mike Dam come from 5th and try to finish up in the podium as well. That's my 3.
And for ST, Tyler?
I believe it's going to be Travis Swinkie, just the pace that he showed in qualifying, and I think there's going to be another good result by John Allen. He's always very fast, and probably going to be another good result from David Payton as we go green in the GS class.
Yeah, good start from Hartley. And Nom to the outside. Who's that got an absolute fly? I think it was Mike Dam, who's on the inside right now. Made it 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh, there goes someone. It was Brandon Whitworth.
Whitworth wide. He will be able to rejoin. Be right at the back of the pack, unfortunately, but he's still right in the mix. And actually, Mike Dam running wide, and that's the worst corner you want to be wide, because you just can never ever seem to rejoin the circuit there. And ST is also green.
Yeah, and Travis Swinkie's going to lead him down into turn 1. They're all kind of staying in line. John D. Allen is trying to make a move down the inside, thinks better of it, but Travis Swinkie leads him through turn 1. Bobby Childs, I believe, is going to sort himself out in 3rd. I believe it's going to be David Payton that's going to just slot up into 2nd there, as they still are pretty much 2 by 2 all the way down through the field. Travis Swinkie, though, has got the lead coming out of turn 2 as they head down the hill into the fast left-hander for turn 3.
Yeah, nice clean start for ST. So yeah, big issues really for Brandon Whitworth and Mike Dam. So they've got themselves a lot of work to do. Both drivers down 7 spots after that sort of turn 1-2 little issue that they had. But Rob Hartley gets a good start, and he's got a little bit of a gap at the moment, 0.8 of a second, Tyler.
Yep, and Clint Vigas is hanging on as well. But yeah, for Mike Dam, though, that was absolute. I mean, that was a worst timing to have that happen. But with it being an hour long and anything can happen, I'm also looking at the race notes real quick as well. For the Mustangs, they're expecting the Mustangs for the field to last about 24-25 laps, which I'd say that's going to be roughly about half of the race, maybe a little bit longer if they want to go all the way to the end. So it'll be very interesting to see how far they go on a tank of gas before they decide to pit early or wait until they run out completely and then pit.
Looking at Ford and Vigas. Ford up the inside into the hairpin, but far too deep. Locks up a brake, runs out wide, and he's going to lose maybe, 3, could be 4 places. He's having to defend pretty hard from Jeff Jacobs now behind, but he does manage to do that. So yeah, very aggressive move. Just got the braking point a little wrong. Of course, the car is really heavy at this point in time as well. So, and yeah, easily done there, I think, Tyler. I've done that a fair few times with some overtaking maneuvers. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Probably more or less, I should say, 10 times worse than what Kevin did, especially with me running open wheel here. Usually if I go off track here, especially with the trickier corners as we're coming up to a little bit of the faster ones, yeah, they're never too kind for me.
Any movers or shakers in ST at the moment? Well, what there is, as I just quickly flip to it, is there's an absolute massive gap. What's happened? Why is Jim List 4 seconds back? Tyler, I haven't seen anything. I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't seen anything. I think that this is what we're talking about here with Phillip Island, is there goes John Allen. He's going to go very wide, but he is going to slot back into line. Not going to lose too much time, just about 1 place and a couple seconds there. But definitely one of the trickier tracks, and I think that's what we're going to see here in the ST field. Like I was talking about earlier, I think we're going to see a lot of 2 and 3 car breakaways throughout the entire field. I kind of expected this from these cars, as they're very draft-oriented, and they're fast in groups of 2 and 3. They're not really fast on their own, and they're not really fast as large groups. So I kind of expected this out of these drivers, but I didn't expect the gap to be that big that early.
And I would like to add in on that as well. especially a good example like what happened with John Allen, where he went a little too wide at that corner. That specific corner there, like the third to last corner, that sweeping left-hander, that's going to be a big make or break, and especially trying to go downhill from that sweeping left-hander, heading downhill into the fast right-hander going into the second to last corner, and that's going to be a big make or break for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, give a quick shout out to Random Darkness for the follow. Thank you very much for that. Appreciated. Yeah, sorry, Tyler, I cut you off again.
No, you're fine. As we see a little bit of moving there, David Payton kind of looked for a move around down the inside of Bobby Childs. Defends that one nicely, though. Is a little bit able just to get away. Now we see that battle for fourth. They're all really, really close down the grid there. John Allen, though, was able to get around Jacob Beasley, and he is now back up into sixth place, I should say, and trying to chase down Eric Violet for that fifth position. Because I think John Allen has got some pace, but he's just got to try to keep that car as clean as possible and possibly maybe try to move up. As you can see, there may be a little bit of damage to Eric Violet's car. It looks as if he's had a little bit of contact there on the side.
Yeah, just going to see if I can get a closer shot. There we go. Absolutely bang on cue. You're right, definitely something somewhere. He's got together with someone, hasn't he? So roughed up. Don't know if it's going to affect him too much. I think he'll be okay. And the battle behind, that's Jacob Beasley and John Allen having a little fight there.
Yeah, Jacob Beasley and John Allen having a little bit of fight, and Jim List and Eric Violet also very close together. And it looks as if that Violet and Allen have got into it, or possibly Violet and List have got into it, because they both have damage on the side of their cars. But Eric Violet right now is all over the back of Jim List and getting chased down now by John Allen. So I wonder if these guys are going to try to battle, or if they are just going to try to stay in line and push and try to catch those three up in the front, because right now the trio up front of Swinky, Payton, and Childs are absolutely gone right now. Is Violet looks for a move down the inside of List that's going to give him just about a 0.4 of a second buffer now, but that's also going to put John Allen right on his tail.
Question that's come in, just wanted at least wanted to know what happened to Elvis Rankin out there. So I think he had a little off track and lost a few places. We might be able to get you a little replay of that actually, so you can see. That was obviously just a lap ago. Oh, there we go. It was when having to take some avoiding action. So I know a bit of damage as well. So that's where some of the damage occurred from. Get back to live, and actually we're going to flip over, because what was 0.8 of a second, it has been quite a bit closer for a few laps. Keep an eye on this gap, but yeah, the front two really pulling away now in GS, and Nom's starting to put perhaps a little bit of pressure on.
Yeah, Nom's starting to put a little pressure, but at the same time, I've been keeping an eye on the timing as well. Hartley and Nom are pulling a little bit of away, but at the same time, Clint Vicus has been putting in a little bit quicker lap times as of late, trying to close up that gap. But right now, with Aero Nom catching up to Hartley, it seems as if it's going to be a two-car battle again.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds and a little bit of buffer. So Clint's in kind of like no man's land, isn't he, right now? But you know, that's not a bad thing. But I think he'll just be keeping a little eye out. These guys are getting close at the front. Possible move. No, I'm just being very patient again. Taking a little bit more speed through turn one. Very different lines, and there's so many different lines you can take through sort of turn one, turn two. And you can see Nom went for a slightly wider in and tighter out. Gets a slightly better exit, of course. Opportunity to potentially make a move down and into the hairpin. Worth just sort of, perhaps almost prepping something for later on, even if he's got no intent of going quite now, to see where Hartley's perhaps a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, and I'm keeping an eye as well on Mike Dam as well after having his issue at the start. Mike Dam right now, he's in this little bit of a car pack after making a big mistake of the first lap. He has worked his way up now, trying to get around Brandon Whitworth, who also had an issue. But it seems like they're starting to work together on trying to run a little bit quicker lap time to see if they can catch up with Leon Wright and the rest of the field.
Yes, he managed to get 3 of those places back. Oh, I'm seeing something for John Allen. Major off, lost a lot of places, really trying to hold the car together through turn 1. Oh, he just about collects it back up. Let's get a replay of that and see exactly what happened there, because, yeah, that was a pretty sizable one.
Yeah, he was way off in the dirt there. Let's see what happened now. So we try to get a replay here of John Allen.
Oh, this is already looking bad.
3 into 1, doesn't go. And it looks like, yeah, Allen and Violet both went off. Allen far, far worse. But, yeah, he's not out of it. But, yeah, Tyler, this is not going as he will have wanted. We said he had pace. But he finds himself right now 25th and not quite last of the runners, but second from last.
Yeah, he's definitely way down there, and this is definitely not what he wanted out of the race. He's definitely got some pace, but it means nothing if you can't keep the car on the track and keep your nose clean over the course of this 1-hour race. And we're just 11 minutes in. You got to keep that in mind, too. He's got a long race ahead of him, so if he's making moves like this now, who knows what he's going to be making a little bit later on down the line. So just I don't know, I think a little bit too overly aggressive maybe at the beginning of the race. I think he kind of knows that he's got to try to get some championship points in maybe, but definitely just a little bit overly aggressive in my opinion.
I mean, he's 16 seconds behind the race leader now. I mean, that, just to put it into some perspective, I mean, I already think the race win, you know, that's done. There's no chance in sort of 50 minutes or so that he's going to get that back, as he does try and pick up a place here, and does. And somebody else off in turn 1 as well. It seems like it's going to be a bit of a theme. I think that was Linda McMurphy, as Tyler nearly has a heart attack as he rejoined.
Yeah, that was a close one. And to add into that as well, with that incident between John Allen and the 89 of Eric Violet, the race marshals are reviewing it as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, see if anything develops there as well.
So right now, here's the battle for 4th. Thorman right now just has about a 6/10 of a second now gap over Jim Liss. So he's trying to pull away just a little bit there, but Elvis Rankin, Lewis Loper, and Eric Violet all separated by just about 0.3 of a second. So they're all really close behind. So I think that those 3 are going to try to catch back up to Jim Liss, possibly go by him, unless he can catch up to Thorman first. But now he's at a 0.4 of a second gap to Thorman. So he is closing that gap just a little bit there. As we look here at Elvis Rankin, Lewis Loper looks for a move. He's going to get that little bit of contact there on the exit, but I think they keep it relatively clean, as Eric Violet's going to drop back in just one more spot, get up that next, just keep that spot from Lewis Loper. So as he kind of gets back in line there, as there is Peyton looking at a move on Swinky, but Swinky is able to hold him off, and that definitely is going to hurt him now. It's down to 0.4 of a second, so it's really, really close, and Bobby Childs holding on for everything he's got back there in 3rd.
I think that was the other way around, actually. It was Peyton that was leading the previous lap, so Travis just getting the run and getting by and taking the lead there. But yeah, you're right. Bobby Childs doing a great job holding on to this one. That's all he needs to do, I think, you know, just make sure that he can tag on to these guys for another sort of 15 minutes, and I think he'll be pulled enough clear that he should be able to win the open class for this evening.
Yeah, I think that Bobby Childs has definitely been turning up the wick a little bit, as we would say in racing. These last few weeks, he's really found some pace these last few weeks, and definitely making big gains as far as championship-wise and position-wise, getting obviously some really good results, like 2nd place at Laguna Seca. So yeah, he's been doing an absolutely amazing job now. Just able to hold on to P3 in this class, as we still see 0.3 of a second between Swinky and Peyton. So those guys are really close to each other, really matched on pace quite evenly. And I think we're going to see an amazing battle with them come the last 10 minutes of the race.
And I would like to add in as well, real quick as well, the incident between between John Allen and Eric Violet. Race Control has given Eric Violet a drive-through penalty for causing the accident.
So as you can see, Violet is serving that penalty now at the bottom of your screen. It says pit stop, but he is serving that penalty for sure as he rolls down the pit lane. Here is Hartley and Nam coming onto the front straightaway now. So those guys still really, really close. I wonder if Nam's going to start looking at a move now, see if he feels that he's a little bit faster than Hartley. Right now, I don't think he's going to look for. He's just staying on Hartley's bumper as he looks for a move, though, down into turn 1.
I think Nam feels like this is probably the best opportunity to make that pass. And boy, last second decision to cut the nose off of Hartley, but he's able to make the pass very cleanly, though. And it was kind of perfect timing as well for Nam as they're catching up to, I believe that would be Mike Taylor in the 61, the first of many lap cars as they're starting to catch up to the MX5 field.
I agree with Tyler. It's a good time to go for it. If he can get through the traffic just a little bit cleaner than what Hartley can, there's a chance to break away. And then do his usual damage that he can do in the pits. And got a potential couple of seconds that he can work with to try and move on and win this race. But had he stayed behind, it could have been completely the opposite way around. He could have lost that time. So I think it was a good call going for it right now. Oh, as he gets held up by the first of the bits of traffic in the MX5s. And Hartley not wasting any time just to dive up the inside.
Yeah, but as they start catching up to going through the ST field, it's going to be, depending on where they are at the circuit, especially that downhill right-hander that they were just going through, that's going to be a big make or break point as well for both Aero Nam and Robert Hartley, because if they get close to an ST car going through that area, ooh, it could be disaster if they don't catch it in time.
Just see really from the onboard that Hartley wasn't catching much. He does desperately need to get through on turn 1, and he does. But I'm guessing that was because he had a little bit of slipstream ahead as well, did Nom, from the MX5s. But I was expecting to see the gap come down just a fraction, that was for sure, on that straight.
Yeah, I think that Rob Hartley definitely senses the fact that he knows that he's a little bit slower than Nam, so he's just got to make every move that he can. He cannot afford to get held up with that ST traffic, because its gap's just about a half a second right now, as they got a lot of ST traffic coming up here. Is Jim List. There's Jim List right up on the back of Elvis Rankin, as he is practically going to push him out of the corner. Going to possibly look for a move in the next few sections. This is kind of the best place to make a move once we get over to the downhill hairpin. One of the better places to make a move is he is going to look to the inside. There, the long sweeping right-hander, not going to be able to make that move. Elvis Rankin just kind of cuts off his nose there as we go down into the hairpin. Now he thought about it, but he thinks better of it. That's going to kind of allow Loper now just to kind of get a little look at him, as he's got Holland on his back, just about 0.3 of a second back now. But they are all really, really close here, pretty much 5th or 4th through 7th all the way through.
Of course, if you don't know the circuit where we saw them all squealing on the brakes, this is probably the video would have popped up on like your Facebook feed of the MotoGP race, I think it was, or something like. Definitely some bike race where the seagull was on the track, because of course, there comes Nom trying to cut through the traffic there. And this is what I said, he needed to do that. I'll come back to my point in a second, but look at Hartley, he's stuck there as well. Hartley can't really make the moves, he's got to wait, he's got to be patient, he's losing time, 0.7 of a second. There is quite a decent run now towards the hairpin, but Nom is through that traffic. So that was critical, and Hartley's going to get held up for the hairpin, I feel, here. Yep.
I think Hartley was not expecting Nam to force that move like that. I think Hartley was expecting Nam to just play it patient, make it through the ST field first, and then maybe try to be aggressive. But boy, did that work for Aero Nam.
1.5 seconds clear. Yeah, so that was definitely the right thing to do. Yeah, so anyway, so back to my point, you've probably seen it on your Facebook feed where the motorcycle rider comes down over the hill, breaks into the hairpin, and nuts the seagull out the way. This, of course, is this circuit here. If you haven't seen it, I know it went viral, so yeah, just there they come down. So, want to know where that was? Yeah, there it was. Both like, I haven't seen that Facebook video at all. Get like into motorbike videos.
Yeah, and really close here for first place here in the ST class as Peyton going to try maybe to look at a move on Swinky, but Swinky's just going to have the pace over him right now. So this is through the very, very fast sweeping turn one, and Bobby Child still 0.8 of a second back, so he's still very much in this fight tonight. As David Payton now is going to try to get the run down into the hairpin, one of the better of the passing opportunities. Not a place where you lose a whole lot of time because it's not really a super crucial corner. Doesn't really lead onto a straight, but a lot of these corners here, you will lose quite a bit of time if you try to pass into them because they lead onto other longer straightaways or fast corners that lead onto straightaways. So this is, you really had to pick your passing opportunities quite closely here. You have to be picky with your passing opportunities. Obviously, if you have a good enough run, you just need to go for it. But especially in these MX-5s where it's all about momentum, you really have to pick your passing opportunities right.
Let's just go on board with David. We're actually towards the end of the lap. I wonder, as he comes across the start-finish line, Tyler, if you wouldn't mind taking us for an actual lap on board and sort of describing the circuit in a little bit of detail for us, as we didn't have a track guide today.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that as we head down through the last corner now. Fourth gear for these guys, maybe a short shift up to fifth gear, but most likely just going to hold this car in fourth gear all the way around. He does shift up to fifth just before the corner just to get the nice run down the front straightaway. It's going to pretty much be at the top of the revs here in fifth gear, possibly up to sixth gear if he feels it, but no, they are going to stay in fifth gear all the way down the straightaway, down into the very fast, very difficult turn one. Light brake or a little bit of just let off the gas and roll the car through turn one, then back on the gas very hard into turn two. Turn two, one of the more crucial corners. Down one of the gears into fourth gear now. Back on the gas as early as you can without losing the rear end of the car. Very easy to do around that corner. Definitely a good passing opportunity down into that hairpin next corner after we get through the kink in the straightaway. The nice long left-hander as leads into one of the best passing opportunities on the entire circuit, down to second gear here as they climb out of this very tight right-hander into the shorter left-hander. A little bit of a hairpin. It just is kind of a decreasing radius corner, so it's very, very tricky to get right. Don't really want to cook it too hard in or you will lose all exit speed on the exit. And while there is some corners here, it's very much flat out in these cars, so you really can't afford to lose any exit speed, as it's going to lead down now into a left-hander and then into one of the tightest corners on the entire racetrack, the downhill hairpin. Definitely one of the most tricky braking zones and one of the best passing opportunities, as it does set you up though, so you do have to be very careful with it not to lose too much of a run onto the straightaway, because from here on out you are flat out onto the front straightaway. And fifth gear again just before they're going to turn in. Now they're going to go up to fifth gear. And he's going to get the run now down into turn one. So very nice exit from him off the hairpin, and that is a lap around Phillip Island.
As our leader comes through, our ST leader there as well. So building that gap up, 2.4 seconds now. So how critical was that move for Nom? He did that absolutely at the right time. And Peyton clearly lifting on the straight now as well, so deciding not to go for it. Another good little battle that's going on out there right now. This is between Tyler Shiflett and Kevin Ford. They've been pretty close for a fair while now, but they've obviously had some pace because they've hunted down Clint Vigus and got by Clint. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Clint. I'm going to see if I can find some sort of replay, potentially, of what went on that could have lost him. You can see two separate ones. So let's bring this up. Going to have a little off track here, and then seconds later he's going to lose a place to Tyler. He just went in way too deep into turn one. That's where Tyler got through, and then I zip forward. We've basically got a carbon copy, really, and I think this is where
just having way too much momentum again. Easily could have lost another 2 spots if he wasn't careful there too.
Yeah. So yeah, just a couple of little mistakes in quick succession there, and that's what lost him the 2 spots. So yeah, unusual mistake from Clinton. Finds himself in 5th place after that.
Yeah, and those little mistakes around here are very easy to do, and they're very costly. I mean, you pretty much overcook just one corner, and you're going to throw away a good 4 or 5 just because of how fast and flowing the track is. And Mike Dam is in the pit lane now, along with Jeff Jacobs. So those two are kind of early pitters, in my opinion, because we're only 25 minutes into this race. So are they going to be trying to fuel save at the end? That's my question.
Yeah, what were you saying again, Tyler? You looked at the meeting notes that the officials were so kindly to send over to us. What was the window for GS?
Looking at it, it was saying that it can get about 24 to 25 laps on a tank of fuel, and they're expecting it to pit around. They were expecting him to pit around 30 to 37 minutes into the race, approximately. So, I mean, granted, it's about 4 minutes until you hit the 30-minute mark, but even still, that seems a little early, especially when you're only working on lap 15 now. So that just seems a little early, in my opinion.
Fantastic battle here, though, between Ford and Shiflett. And Ford is going to come out, or has come out on top. Took him a fair few corners there, and they were absolutely door to door for a little while there. And in fact, I think it is well worth us just getting a little replay of that again, because that was a fantastic little battle. And you see from the hairpin, Shiflett just on the inside, Ford really squeezing down, got a great run out of the tight left-hander there as well. So it's flat out through this section, but then that sweeping left leads into Honda. Hairpin, never easy to take it too wide. Naturally, I think Tyler decided it was probably not worth his while trying to risk something there and perhaps send in Kevin just a little bit wide. But what that has done, that little battle, has allowed Clint Vigus to catch back up. So we've got a great 3-car battle now for 3rd place.
Yep, and further down in the GS field, Russ Roddick and Matthew Coletta have now pitted as well. So now you got 9th through 12th have already, which is kind of interesting, seeing how they're only on how we're just working lap 16 and they're now pitting. So very interesting strategy-wise on what these drivers are choosing. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the other 8 GS cars that are still left, what they're gonna be doing.
Vigus really tight on Shiflett's tail now. Want to try and get that place back, and of course, Kevin, worth pointing out, Kevin had that off, didn't he, on lap 2 in the hairpin, so he's fought back well to get to 3rd place. So he's showing really good pace out there, and he took his time, but it took him half the race basically, get himself back into 3rd, and he's going to try and push on. He'll be hoping that as Shiflett and Vigus both come into the pits, I think in Ford's Ford stayed out. So yeah, just those two in. But top 3 stayed out. But Shiflett, Vigus, Wright, and Whitworth all into the pits now. So everyone jumping in early, a lot earlier than what we were sort of expecting from the meeting notes.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm on 9. I just heard from race control. I guess there was an earlier incident between Elvis Rankin in the 18 car and the 37 of Matthew Kalita, a GS driver and an ST driver. And looks like, I guess, the 37 might have done something to force the 18 off track, because the 37 has a drive-through penalty for the incident.
I will have a look, see if I can find what that might have been. I wonder how long ago it was. So that's just an off, I think, from Tila there. Good. Well, that's certainly not it. Stay with it for a moment. Matthew going off. So who was the driver that was involved? So you've got Matthew and
the 18, which is Elvis Rank.
Mistake, just was hoping he was going to be alongside. I think up the inside. Not that severe, but it did set Elvis back in a good sort of 4 or 5 seconds there.
Yep, absolutely. And Kevin Ford has come into the pits, and Mike Dam actually, from pitting on lap 15, Mike Dam has gotten up to 4th. So good stop by Mike Dam, and he's actually closing in now on Kevin Ford. So that little 3-car battle originally with Ford, Vigus, and Shiflett can add Mike Dam's name to the list now.
Yeah, Vigus having a little look almost straight away to get it back. Of course, if there was any new tyres taken, then Dam's going to have scrubbed the absolute best of the life off of them. So he'll have to try and hold on for a few laps, as out of shape coming out of the hairpin was Vigus there as well. So, but kept it pointing forward, no real issue. Aaron Nom jumps into the pits. We can see that on the timing tower to the left. So Hartley stays out, so he's going to retake the lead. But yeah, so Dam under a fair amount of pressure. 2.9 seconds up the road is Ford. So Ford had a great stop.
I have a feeling that might be something different, because... Oh, never mind. My pit timer scared me for a second. It almost made it seem like he towed for a second.
This MX5 traffic just gets into the pit lane out of the way. So will Vigus go for a move almost straight away, or is he going to sit tight and just sort of give Dam an opportunity to try and pull him back towards Ford? I don't think he is. He's going to go to the outside. Never the easiest move to complete round the outside there. You really need to pinch the driver in if you're going to do it. Just didn't quite get enough of an overlap, so you have to wait, find another spot. And runs a little bit wide, and actually that's going to open the door for Tyler Shiflett, who's now alongside. Does just edge his nose in front, and actually Vigus has to settle back in. I tell you what, where's Russ Ruddock come from? Suddenly he's in this battle as well.
Very impressive, and he's been running about the same lap times as these other 4 in front of him. So it's gonna be very interesting to see if he takes an opportunity and tries to even pass Clint Vigus, or even just catches up and tries to wait to see what happens here and see if he can take advantage of it.
Hardly into the pits. Our 2 leaders are actually into the pits at the same time, because Travis decides to jump in as well. Bobby Charles stays out. I wonder if he'll regret that, because he's been on the slipstream of the two leaders in class for some time. Although I have to say, I think I said earlier on, if you got to the halfway mark, Tyler still slipstreaming those guys, then he was probably safe for the ST Open win. as long as he doesn't make any mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And to be honest with you, I think he's still kind of in it for the overall win as well. If he can just kind of hang with those guys for the rest of the race, maybe can make a move and maybe even take advantage of them whenever they're trying to battle come those last few laps of the race. But Shiflett with a 21-second stop, so he's out of the pit lane now. As Shiflett's going to be down, or Swinky, I'm sorry, is going to be down in 7th. There is Rob Hartley.
And I'm bringing Rob on screen because Rob is in 7th place after the pit stop. What has gone on?
Looking at the pit stops, 55-second pit lane timer, which is going into pit entry and into the pit stall and leaving and coming out. And
Yes.
that's about 8 seconds longer than actually more than that. Looks like about probably almost 10 seconds difference between his pit lane timer compared to Aero Nam. So that was a huge chunk of time.
I didn't see any penalties or anything like that, and we'd expect a just speeding penalty to be 20 seconds or so, wouldn't we? So I don't think it's I don't think it's that. So
yeah, I think the speed.
Some
Well,
issue.
even still, I think the speeding penalty would even only be about 15 seconds, maybe. Even still, that just seems a lot longer than normal.
Jim List jumps into the pit lane. Childs into the pit lane as well. So those guys all into the pit lane. Loper into the pit lane as well. So those guys are all diving down to the pit lane now. Jacob Beasley is going to move up into 2nd, now up into 1st. So he's going to take the lead in the ST class. As we're still looking at this battle, they're all still really, really close for 3rd in the GS class. Damn, Shiflett and Vigus, just about a second covers them right now. So they're all really close in this battle.
what we have got to do is jump away and say hello to the sponsors, of course, for the series. So yeah, we'll be back in just a short sec, and we'll continue watching what this battle going on out here right now. Mike Dam has got himself to 3rd after the issues with Hartley. But yeah, we'll be back in just a second. Shout out and thank you to Ricmotech. Okay, so we'll try that one again in just a second. We've got some issues with spooling up the videos at the moment. So back to you guys for the moment, and yeah, we'll pick that back up shortly.
All right, so Mike Dam just about a 0.3 of a second gap now over Tyler Shiflett. So those guys right now are very, very close. And Beasley jumps into the pit lane. So Jacob Beasley into the pits for his stop. So that's at 38 minutes into the race. So that's going to allow Payton to get back to the lead, Swinky back to 2nd, and Childs goes back up into 3rd. So that's just like what we thought there. So that's a little bit of a late stop. So I think he's definitely going to have some fuel to work with come the end, or he's just going to make an absolute load of time on those guys. As Eric Violet's into the pits as well, as we're still looking at this battle with Dam and Shiflett. Now that's the gap is just about half a second. They're kind of leaving Clinton Vigus behind.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Looking at the lap times, Vigus ran a 142 flat, and then Russ Rodiku is also struggling a little bit, ran a 143.7. So it's mainly right now Kevin Ford, Mike Dam, and Tyler Shiflett right now for the three cars fighting for 2nd. But it's going to be very close to see what happens, because they're still about, Mike Dam's still about 2.2 seconds behind Ford. So it's going to be very close to see what happens, because Aero Nam's already long gone and already holding a 21-second gap over Kevin Ford and Mike Dam.
Yeah, definitely there indeed. He's got a very large gap over those guys. It's definitely going to be a difficult one for them to catch him. They're all pretty much just going to have to try and work together a little bit to catch up to him as my live timing decides that it wants to crash on me. So I'm going to try to get that back up really quickly here.
Well, while we do that, we'll head to that advert break. I should have it now. So, yeah, we'll be back in just 2 minutes time. Well, no, we don't seem to have that. I don't know quite what's gone on with the video, so apologies to Ricmotech there as well. We weren't able to get that up. So, but yeah, of course, a big shout out to them for supporting the series, and they've supported this series for so long as well. And yeah, through your support by heading over to their website, have a peruse. What they've got, they literally have everything from you know, from wheels, pedals, rigs, you name it. Some custom products that they do as well, some high-end pedals, yeah, and full race rigs as well. So do go check them out. Of course, if you are in the US, yeah, a great supplier, and obviously local supplier rather than having to import things in from Europe or anything else like that. They do a lot of that hard work for you as well with some of their gear. So got a bit for everyone. So yeah, do go check them out. So yeah, sorry Frank, couldn't get your video out this time, but we'll try and get that sorted out for you. Just seeing a good little battle go on that we haven't seen too much. Well, we have earlier on, but just thought I'd bring it back. But yeah, battle for 6 in the ST class, Tyler.
Yeah, a little bit of a battle there with Lewis Loper, Elvis Rankin, and Jacob Beasley. Those guys are all separated by just about a second, and even Holland there just back up in there, as I'm still trying to get my live timing up, so I can't quite see the exact gaps and see those guys right now, but I'm going to try to get that back up quickly, as it doesn't want to work for me tonight.
Oh, we do love our little technical hitch and glitches here at Apex Racing TV, so yeah, it's nothing new, I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, they've kind of settled themselves back down. I clicked to it and they were all within a tenth or two, so they've all gone kind of single file from 6 all the way back to 10th. So we'll see how that progresses, because we are now 42 minutes into the race, so they're going to start to get a little bit more tasty, I think, with the moves that they're going to try and pull off, and work their way towards the front of this little pack. Definitely don't want to be sat at the back of it for too long, I don't feel.
No, definitely not. You definitely don't want to sit at the back of any pack. So I'm just trying to go over here to the live stream as I wait on this to work for me. But as I go over to the live stream now, yeah, you definitely don't want to be at the back of any pack. In general, you always want to be one towards the front, just to try to make as much gains on the drivers behind you as possible, or drivers ahead of you as possible. You want to be able to leave the drivers behind you. So definitely something that you see quite often with drivers, just trying to get their way up the field just a little bit more than they previously were.
Third in GS as well. Shiflet now past Dam, so yeah, Dam, he did make the places up with that early pit stop, Tyler, but it seems like the tyres just haven't quite held out. They've just not got enough
to try to hang on to that top 5, depending on what Robert Hartley does. As Hartley's right now in the 140s from what it looks like as well.
Yeah, so quite sure what's gone on with Rob. Will he be able to catch these guys? He might be able to. You know, we've got 15 minutes to go. He's got 2.3 seconds to catch up to the back of Clint Vigus, and then he's right in the mix then. So, and Shiflet actually making some great gains on Kevin right now. 0.4 the last time around, but that gap has come shooting down even this lap, and it's already under 1 second now.
Yeah, and it looks like Mike Dam's starting to be a little bit aggressive too. Had a little bit of wheel spin there, as you saw in the background. But it seems like Mike's gonna try not to give up. Is not gonna try to go down with the fight, and at least try to see if he can keep up with these guys. But it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens here exactly. But it's gonna be very difficult to see if Mike Dam can even try to catch up as well.
Another good little battle that's kind of ebbing and flowing is between Leon Wright and Jeff Jacobs. They're half a second apart at the moment, but they were just a lap ago extremely close. This is for ninth. Give a little love to some of the guys when they're a bit further down, but they're still having good battles out there.
Absolutely, and they're only half-tenth of the second too, and both are running fairly decent lap times, and it just seems like Leon Wright's running a little bit quicker than Jeff Jacobs, but Jeff Jacobs in that slipstream, he might take an opportunity to try to get a little bit more speed going into the turns, and maybe even try to slowly catch up as well.
Yeah, looks good, looks close. Oh, what's going on? Suddenly Kevin Ford's dropping down the order. Ooh. That is why he's around at the hairpin. That's the second time he gets going. Gonna have to see
here
exactly what has gone on there, because it has been so costly. Tyler's all over him. There's a little defensive. Does he lose the rear? Oh, he gets hit from behind. And I have to feel like we've already seen a very similar incident to that in ST, that the race officials had a look at and took a pretty dim view of it.
And just as that happens, the incident is under review, which I hate to say it, but it looks like Shiflet more than likely will get a drive-through penalty. Because Shiflet did not check up in time, and hitting the back of Kevin like that definitely hurt Kevin a lot. And I have a feeling we might have a review in pretty soon, especially with and it'll more likely be Tyler Shiflet receiving a black flag for the incident with Kevin Ford.
Just be a drive-through penalty, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it'll more than likely be a drive-through. I'm going to keep an eye on.
What that's done now is that's Mike Dam's early pit stop did the business, because it got him some track position, although he's struggling a little bit perhaps with tyres, although he's looking at Tyler right now. He's going to be pretty much gifted this second place because of the mistakes everybody else is making out there right now. So yeah, did what he needed to do, and that's a heck of a comeback drive, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and especially going from having that early incident in lap 1 as well, being able right now where once the race marshal makes their decision on what happened, Mike Dam could easily just walk away with a clean race after the early incident and walk away with second. That's a win in my book for Mike Dam.
Yeah, it doesn't help him in terms of the championship, but what it will do is help him in terms of confidence going into the final race as well. That he can push and hunt through this pack. And tell you what, he'd have had a lot of fun. He'd have been a bit narked, I think, with the incident that set him back on lap 1. Even if it was his own fault, even to himself a little bit. But he would have really enjoyed this, and Here he goes. He doesn't want to be given second place. He wants to take it legitimately. Up the inside into turn 1. They're still side by side. Shiflet's held on around the outside. And if you can do that, you usually do get the place back. Both drivers extremely late on the brakes through turn 2. Dan manages to reconnect back with the apex and just helps him pull his car around. So he's back into second place and through. Great battling. And yes, to second legitimately on the track, even with those slightly more scrub tyres.
And at the same time as well, not too far back is Vigas and Hartley, and they're only two seconds behind Shiflet and Mike Dam. So things could really get interesting here with less than 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, indeed. And talking about interesting, this little battle that we've been sort of bringing up on screen through numerous times of this race is getting pretty tasty again. So this battle for 6, Rankin leading this way, although Looper just throws it up the inside, and what a great move that was as well. Beardsley behind him, and then it's Holland and McMurphy, and actually just behind them is John Allen as well. So never really happened for John today. Kept making a whole bunch of mistakes.
And Tyler Shiflet coming into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty.
Yeah, wow. I think it was justified, wasn't it, from the officials' point of view there. They couldn't do anything more. They'd already handed out something very similar early on, and just doing the same. And that's Rob Hartley taking Clint Vigas on the inside of turn 1 there as well. Holds on through turn 2. Will Vigas be able to fight back? They got a bit of traffic. I don't think he's going to be able to. So yeah, Hartley recovering, and after his weird pit stop, set him back and into about 7th place.
Yeah, and Hartley's going to be loving this, but at the same time here, oh, it's Mike Dam's getting caught up. Oh, a little bit of contact for Hartley as well. Boy, this is going to get interesting, and Vigas is going to try to take advantage of it.
I do believe we've got Tyler back as well after his little technical issues.
Yeah, I'm back, and we got it all back up and running now. So, yeah, they also got a little bit of ST traffic to deal with as we look at the battle now between Lewis Loper and Elvis Rankin. So those guys going at it now in the final 8 minutes of this race as maybe going to look to the inside. Rankin, no, he's not. So these guys are all really, really close, and that is that GS traffic that we were talking about. Those guys are going to try to come through. They have a lot of these guys to deal with, not a lot of place to pass them, especially in this part of the track where it's the very tight, twisty sections.
Well, it should start smoothing out pretty soon as Vigas is trying to make a pass on the outside here, trying to keep up with Hartley. Hartley way out on the grass. And this might be a little easier for overtaking for the GS class, but boy, that could have been really disastrous for Hartley, trying to make the car as small as possible through the long start-finish line straightaway.
Another great little battle going on for second overall. Travis has checked out somewhat, 9.8 seconds clear. But Bobby Charles and David Payton, there's a 10th between them right now.
Yeah, these guys absolutely going at it now, and Childs is going to keep that position. So Bobby Childs stays in second position. And like I was saying earlier, he has really been doing good lately in these races. He's been keeping very high positions in these races, and that's just another amazing result for him. Second place right now in this race, but he does have David Payton all over his rear end, and he has definitely been going for that second position. Payton wants to get second for the championship standings at least, because every single point does matter at this point. So right now just 0.2 of a second separating them, so we'll see if Payton goes for a move down into turn number 1. We're going to have just about 5 minutes remaining at the end of this lap. Payton's going to try the move around the outside. I don't believe that's going to work. I believe Childs is just going to have him clear. Yes, he is 0.2 of a second, so Childs is going to have him clear, and you can see there in the background GS traffic is going to be coming up the road, so that may pay a factor into this.
I'm seeing on screen there's a possible crash for Lewis Looper. Let's see if this is what I've got here on replay. There he goes. So he is around, and yeah, so just a little spin there. That was that big gaggle that we were keeping an eye on, and yeah, it's cost him dearly. So drops down to 23rd overall, and that little gaggle continues having their battle. But let's jump back to this P2 battle.
As we get right back into it, 0.3 of a second now. Childs has over Peyton, so he is starting to just maintain that gap more than he was, but they do have GS traffic coming through. I didn't quite get a good look at that to see who that was. I believe that is Aeronom coming through on them. So they're going to have that to deal with as well, going down into the hairpin now. Yes, I do believe that that is Nom. So Nom is going to think a little bit better of it, not try to get in the way of that battle, as he does now have a I believe he has a 1.2 second advantage over...
Nah, it's 25.6. He's way out, but yeah, can read a little funny sometimes that on the timing sheet, but he is indeed 25 seconds clear, so he can be as patient as he wants with these guys.
Yeah, definitely has the room to be patient, and with 4 minutes to go, I don't see anyone catching up a 25-second gap without him crashing a little bit. Or having a spin off somewhere, but yeah, so he definitely has the space to be as patient as he needs to be. But this battle's still 0.4 of a second. Childs has over Peyton, so these guys think this is going to be a battle to the line unless one of them makes a mistake. But right now, I believe this is going to be a battle to the line for these guys to see who will take second overall.
Yeah, what other battles have we got going on out there? Gymless working his way sort of forward as well. And he's tucked up behind Chris Thorman. Well, this will be for fourth. We've got that other gaggle 11 seconds. It's pretty much as you said, Tyler. They've split into, you know, a few different clusters. That's what kind of we had. We've not had a massive train. We've had a few different clusters with drivers sort of relatively evenly matched throughout. But great battles in their individual little groups.
Yeah, I think that we pretty much see that. I'm just looking at the timing screens pretty much all the way down the field, especially in the ST class. Just little battles and little groups of 3, and then I think that there's one group of 4 that are just a little bit farther back. But so yeah, Gymless though is trying to close that gap on Thorman now, on Chris Thorman. So he is going to try to close that gap as they go down into the hairpin. This is going to be one of the final times they will do that in this race. We're 58 minutes into the 1-hour race, so white flag will be coming out here shortly for these drivers, but there's 0.6 of a second now. So as we go over to Leon Wright.
Yeah, Leon Wright and Jeff Jacobs, they're still battling. They've been battling for a little while now, and I thought Jacobs was looking to sort of shape him up there. He was very, very close, but dropped back just a little bit. Got half a second to catch down the straight. Let's just have a quick look, see how the time does progress in these Mustangs. I'm looking. It's not much, is it? Look at that. Only a 10th really in the slipstream. So, you know, you've got to come off that final corner. A 10th and a half. If you can come off that final corner in about the 2/10 range, which is literally, you won't be able to see anything behind one of these Mustangs, you've got a chance of a move into turn 1. So, not easy. Not as much slipstream as I thought there may have been here.
No, definitely not at all, but I think the closer that you are, the stronger the slipstream is. So like you were saying, if you come off there in 0.2 of a second, you've got a good chance of getting the move done into third. So there is Clint Vigas and Mike Dam. There's their battle, just 0.8 of a second separating them. So those guys won the very close battles on this track. As Dam, I believe, makes a mistake, that's down to a 1.5 second advantage now.
Yep. Yeah, falls back massively there. Right, what do we got? 10 seconds to go. Nom, he gets through for another lap, so one more lap to go for everybody. David Payton into the pits. He's miscalculated. He was hoping it was going to be a white flag this time, but Nom's pace, 10 seconds to the good, means that Peyton is going to lose out. Will he get out in front of Chris Thorman? Thorman coming through here now, so this could be a podium battle. It just needs a splash and dash. He's taking ages. Not got going. What's going on? I know they don't put... Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be a good little scrap, but I don't think he's going to have the momentum, so I think these guys are just going to steam on by him, and indeed they have. So, what a disaster for David Payton.
Yeah, an absolute disaster for him, though, but that does secure Bobby Childs in that third position. So Thorman now up into the third position, List up in the fourth, and that's going to put Peyton all the way down to fifth. So he definitely miscalculated just a little bit there. Heartbreaking for him, but he does just have to keep on pushing on. Possibly can get that third position whenever those guys start to battle just a little bit. And this is Elvis Rankin slow on the circuit. Did he miscalculate his fuel as well?
Fuel. That's got to be fuel.
Yeah, it's fuel.
Caught a few people out that extra lap, and I'm guessing that's what happened last week as well with Travis Svenke. So here comes our leader though and race winner, Aero Norm, with a fantastic performance again today. And really, it all came. I think the timing of his move was just absolutely down to perfection. That is what really gave him the opportunity to jump through. Here comes, already gone through, Travis Finke as well. He didn't miscalculate fuel this time. He does pick up the win. What a great job. And Bobby Charles in second place. Phenomenal. What a great run.
Yeah, absolutely awesome run for him. Rob Hartley comes home in second in the GS class and third for Clint Vigas. But yeah, awesome run for Bobby Childs. He's been on a streak now of a few really good results. He won the ST Open last round. I do know that much. And Mike Dam is pretty much going to come in on fumes, it looks like, as he possibly going to get passed by Leon Wright. So yeah, he is going to lose a spot to Leon Wright. So he has miscalculated fuel as well. So we see quite a bit of these drivers miscalculating fuel today.
Yeah, and to add in on that, as shortly after Bobby Childs crossed the finish line, he said over the radio, 88 is officially out of fuel.
Yeah. And I tell you, that all comes down to Nom just sneaking through 10 seconds to the good there as well. So his pace really catching a few people out, and probably some of the fuel laps that are out there right now and being used, I dare say. They all thought it was going to be this. Yeah, it was one. Don't know about you guys, but I never ever trust any of the fuel laps. I always take one lap the good, but I understand in these cars fuel doesn't go in very quick, so you kind of got to take that gamble sometimes. And yeah,
I'm
a costly one.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I kind of always like to take about a lap extra fuel, sometimes even 2 laps extra fuel, depending on the lap length there. But yeah, so Aeronom wins in the GS class, and Travis Swinky wins in the ST class.
Well, there you go, Mr. Vickery. There's your results up on screen. Take us through those, please.
Absolutely. Well, of course, once again, Aeronom, being as dangerous as he can, especially around lap traffic, managed to time it just right and pull away with a 28-second win over Robert Hartley. That is now his, I believe, 8th victory out of the 9 races this season. Robert Hartley and Clint Vigas rounds out your podium. A good finish for Clint Vigas, trying to stay out of trouble, especially while Kevin Ford had an unfortunate incident between Tyler Shiflett where knocked Kevin Ford out of that potential podium, maybe even a potential second place. So Kevin Ford still able to recover and finish in 4th, about 38 seconds behind Aeronom. Russ Ruddock was able to come away with the top 5 as well. Tyler Shiflett, after receiving that drive-through penalty for the incident with Kevin Ford, comes back and finishes in 6th. Brandon Whitworth in 7th. Leon Wright in 8th. Mike Dam having really unfortunate luck there, running out of fuel at the end, finishing in 9th. And then Steve Daniels rounding out your top 10 in the GS class, while Jeff Jacobs and Matthew Kalita finished one lap down, and then Pascal Iannucci, I have a feeling probably did a start in park, as he did not take any laps in the race.
Yes, we're over now to the ST standings. Travis Swinky wins by 14.7 seconds. Absolutely commanding performance by him over Bobby Childs in the number 88 DTD Motorsports blue car. Chris Thorman rounds out your podium. Jim List 4th. John DeAllen in 5th. Lytle McMurphy 6th. Jacob Beasley 7th. Derek Holland 8th. Lewis Loper in 9th. Mike Taylor in 10th. Eric Violet in 11th. David Payton in 12th, Michael Key 13th, Elvis Rankin in 14th, and your race marshal in the number 199, just like usual.
Well, we have got a few drivers come for an interview. Who do you fancy first?
I would almost want to say probably be best with, since we've got Aero Nam in here, if you want to do Aero Nam first with the overall.
Do it. Over to you then, Tyler.
Yeah, well, Aero, another win, especially after some, honestly, heart attack moves you gave to me and a few others. Great drive for you, making it, I believe, now your 8th win out of the 9 races. How was the car feeling, and especially when you took the opportunity to make that big pass through the leaders of the ST class to just get that perfect gap to pull away from Robert Hartley?
Yeah, in the beginning I was just saving my tires, saving my time, saving fuel behind Hartley, and I picked the perfect time to attack. He didn't defend much, so I was in the best place to take over, just lower traffic, and that was the key.
Yeah, that was, and especially with some of the movement. And then, how'd you feel? How'd you feel when with the timing as well? You were able to make one more extra lap when you crossed the start finish line with 10 laps to go. Did you put in enough? You put in probably more than enough fuel to make sure you made it to the end.
Yeah, in the beginning I was planning 35 laps, but before the pit stop I was speeding up again, and so it was clear it will be 36 laps, so I had enough fuel.
Yeah, and it was definitely a great run for you as well, Aero, and definitely caught a few drivers off guard, especially one of your main competitors, Mike Dam, running out of fuel at the end because of the extra lap you did. Either way, though, great run for you. Definitely got any shout outs for you as well.
Yeah, thanks to all the sponsors and the league organizers and you guys there.
Alrighty, well, congratulations again, Aero, on the race, and good way, really helped you out there with the points as well, and especially with the second place in the standings, having a big issue with the fuel, and definitely going to help you out with locking in the championship.
Yeah, actually the championship was secured before today's race, so that's done.
Well, there you go.
Fair enough. Makes it easy. Now you can have a fun race had a good fun race for this one as well as for the next one as well. We wish you luck in that one as well.
Thanks, guys.
So Travis Swinky now in the booth. So Travis, absolutely amazing job by you today. You pulled away with the win again in the series. How does it from your point of view?
Yeah, good race. I expected David to be there for sure, and maybe even Bobby. I just didn't know how the pit stops would go, so I had to find out what happened to David. I was looking forward to a good race with him. I knew it would be that way, but I thought he just made a mistake into turn 2, and I got a little gap, and I started pushing really hard, then just tried to break the draft, but then he really started falling back, and I don't know what, so something obviously happened to him, fuel or something, so I'll have to find out from him.
Yeah, we did an absolutely amazing job today. You were really just able to maintain a gap and just really start stretching out that gap more and more and more. We obviously saw quite a bit of people with some fuel issues Assuming that you had some fuel in the bag waiting there for you, how did you play the fuel strategy today?
Yeah, I knew I'd have to take more than David since I was out front so much, but in a way it kind of helps at a track like this, because especially since I didn't have a lot of time to check my numbers like I usually do, so I knew what my undrafted number was, so I knew exactly how much to take. You know, if I had draft, then I just would have had extra. The question became whether I had the number of laps right, so I didn't know when Ira was coming up if I was thinking that he was going to have to pass me or not, so I just let him by to play it safe. I had time to give, and so I just backed off, and I ended up with plenty of fuel. I would have been able to do that extra lap at race pace without a problem.
Well, absolutely awesome job by you. Definitely having everything in line for yourself today. Absolutely awesome job. Congratulations on the win. Hope to see you again in the next round.
I hope so too. It's a tight championship, so wish all my competitors luck in the last race.
Yep, and there's anybody that you want to thank?
Just always thank Frank for putting up with this series. I think it's great to support, and love all the people in here, so continue my support of the series for sure.
All right, well, awesome job by you tonight. Travis Swinky here, your winner in race number second last round. I actually don't even know the race numbers. We're going to go ahead and get Bobby Child into here, second place finisher today. So Bobby, absolutely awesome job. I missed last round, so I couldn't quite figure out exactly where you finished there, but third place from Laguna, so keeping up that streak of good finishes, at least from those 2 rounds. How was the race?
I was actually, and I'm just as thrilled as I can be about pulling in another P2. It was a great race. It came down to fuel at the end, and I had just enough to get over the start-finish line, and that was that.
Absolutely awesome job. So I take it that you were very tight on fuel, but nice job maintaining your fuel, at least for those last few laps, to be able to keep that second place, as we did see one of your competitors behind have a little bit of fuel issues. So that kind of gave you a little bit of buffer for P2. But you have had some quite good results lately. What have you done differently?
Well, I've been listening to my teammate Jim List ever since we got the esports section of D2D going. He's been coaching me up, and I've been working with my teammates, him and Eric Violet, and Dave Payton and Chris Thorman are coming on board, and we've already been working together. And it's just a collaborative effort, getting setups in, coaching each other, and seat time now. I've been with the series now for about a year and a half, and that seat time is really what's getting it done now.
Yeah, well, what you guys are doing is definitely paying off for you. Absolutely awesome job for you here today. Is there anyone you want to thank?
Well, of course, my teammates, and then I want to thank the real-life D2D Motorsports crew. They brought me and our other teammate, Chad Parker, out to Barber Motorsports Park over this last weekend to watch the Global MX5 Cup race live, where our teammate Jim had a really strong showing. It was absolutely amazing, and I do want to say something real quick about the sponsor on my car. It's a young lady named Maddie Jones. I've been working on her behalf for 2 seasons now. That's why I have the pink wheels that you guys have noticed so many times on the broadcast. She was battling cancer, and she is now. So I want to send a big shout out to her being in remission with her cancer, and Team Maddie will be coming off the car next season.
Well, absolutely awesome job, and that's awesome to hear. I believe you cut out a little bit there, but I believe you said that she won her battle with cancer. But awesome job there. Awesome result for you again today, and we hope to see you again here next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
So Bobby Childs in second place here for the ST class, and hand it back over to one of you guys for the ending.
Yeah, well, I thoroughly enjoyed tonight. You can tell that because I'm still awake. But yeah, no, what a great night's racing all around, actually. And I do love those races that come down to a little bit of fuel strategy and things like that. So yeah, Mike down in 10th, and somehow Hartley was in 7th, managed to work his way back up to 2nd, and some great battles even in ST as well, and fuel on the line there. So yeah, it spices it up no end when it's that close on the margins. And to be fair, that's just the drivers taking it that close. I've seen some races before where actually like they're having to fuel safe just to make it on fuel, and it becomes very exciting. So yeah, drivers taking it to the absolute extremes. Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me tonight, and thank you everybody for watching the race live, or if you're watching it back, making your way all the way to the end. I do appreciate it. While we've got your attention, if you wouldn't mind just hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel as well. Got much more to come here on Apex Racing TV, of course, for the rest of the week as well. So there's the Le Mans series tomorrow night, as well as the World F3 Championship that returns. Then on the Thursday night, we've got BSRTC and the Sim Racers World GT Championship. We do have a little time off on Friday, and then I believe it's Sim Racers Asia returns on the Saturday. I believe it's an off week for Euro V8, but that pretty much wraps us up for our week's worth of broadcasting. So, yep, do subscribe and check out some of the other action that we've got going on here at Apex Racing TV. So, from myself, from Tyler, and from Tyler as well, we wish you a good night, and we will see you again in a few weeks' time. For now.